The message from my mother popped up on my screen. "Catherine, everyone's staying home because of the ice storm. Christmas dinner is canceled. Stay safe." I stared at my phone, feeling a wave of disappointment. But I understood. Nashville winters could be unpredictable and even dangerous. What I didn't realize in that moment was that this simple text would unravel years of family deception and permanently alter the course of my life. My name is Catherine, and I am 32 years old. I work as an accountant, and until last Christmas, I assumed I was just the odd one out in my family. The reserved, career-driven sister who never quite fit into their boisterous and social world. My younger sister, Anna, had always been the golden child, the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. That Christmas morning, expecting a quiet day alone, I did my best to embrace the solitude. I made myself a mug of hot chocolate, curled up on the couch, and played some holiday movies in an attempt to lift my spirits. Despite my efforts, the loneliness lingered. By mid-afternoon, around 3, I mindlessly scrolled through Instagram. Then, my heart stopped. A newly posted photo from my cousin Nina appeared on my screen. Perfect family Christmas at Anna's. So blessed to have everyone together. Family traditions. Christmas dinner. The picture showed a beautifully decorated dining room, and seated around the table was my entire family. My mother, father, aunts, uncles, cousins, even my grandmother were all there. Smiling, laughing, celebrating together at Anna's home. I took in every detail, their festive sweaters, the beautifully arranged table, the warm glow of candlelight. And through the large windows behind them, bright, clear skies. No ice, no storm. My fingers trembled as I swiped through more photos. There was my dad, carving the turkey with his usual precision. My mother, carefully arranging her signature Christmas cookies. My little nieces and nephews unwrapping gifts with excitement. The excuse about the ice storm had been a lie. A convenient fabrication to keep me away. A sick feeling settled in my stomach. How many other times had they done this? How many family gatherings had actually taken place when I had been told they were canceled? Just how long had they been excluding me while pretending to care? The next morning, my phone rang. My mother's name flashed on the screen. I hesitated before answering. Her voice was light, casual, as if nothing had happened. "Hi, honey. Hope you had a nice, quiet Christmas. We missed you." I clenched my fists. Her words, so effortless, so dismissive, cut through me. I had no way of knowing it then, but that was the moment everything would change. Growing up, I had always done my best to be the dutiful daughter. I helped my mother with household chores, excelled in school, and even abandoned my dream of going to art school in favor of accounting because my parents had insisted it was the responsible choice. Meanwhile, Anna had always been given free rein. When she dropped out of college to become a yoga instructor, my parents called her courageous. When I worked overtime to help them pay off their mortgage, they barely acknowledged it. One incident should have opened my eyes long ago. 3 years earlier, my father had undergone surgery. I took 3 weeks off work to care for him, cooking meals, handling his medications, driving him to appointments. Anna, on the other hand, visited once, took a few selfies with him for social media, and then left, claiming she had a retreat to attend. Yet, when my parents recounted that time, it was Anna they praised. She had been the supportive daughter, while I had merely done what was expected. The rest of the family wasn't much different. At gatherings, my aunts and uncles gushed about Anna's free spirit while questioning why I was always so serious. My accomplishments at work were brushed aside as uninteresting, but Anna's latest adventure, teaching yoga in Bali, was a topic of admiration and endless discussion. I kept telling myself that it didn't matter. That family was family, and they loved me in their own way. Even just a month ago, I had spent hours in the kitchen helping my mother prepare for Thanksgiving. Later, I overheard her telling guests that Anna had done everything while I had simply kept her company. I swallowed my hurt and, as always, stayed silent. When Anna announced she would be hosting Christmas this year, I had eagerly offered to help. She had brushed me off with a polite but firm dismissal, saying she wanted everything to be perfect. Looking back now, the signs had been there all along. But I had been so desperate to believe in the illusion of a happy, united family that I ignored them. The painful truth was that I had spent my entire life trying to prove my worth to them. I had made excuses for their behavior, convinced myself that if I just tried harder, worked more, gave more, then maybe, just maybe, they would finally see me as part of the family. And now, here I was, staring at undeniable proof on my laptop. My mother's voice still rang in my ears. "Hi, honey. Hope you had a nice, quiet Christmas. We missed you." Her cheerfulness felt like a slap. I tightened my grip on my phone, my gaze fixed on the screen where their celebration played out in perfectly filtered images. I took a breath, steadying myself. "Really," I said, keeping my voice even. Nina's social media posts painted a picture of a joyful Christmas gathering at Anna's house. Everyone seemed to have had a wonderful time. Everyone except me. The silence on the other end of the call was suffocating. I could almost picture my mother's face, that familiar expression she wore when caught in a lie but already crafting an excuse. "Oh, well," she finally stammered. "Anna put it together at the last minute, and you know how you are at gatherings, always so quiet, making people uncomfortable. We just thought." "Thought what?" I pushed, my voice growing sharper. "That lying to me would be better? That leaving me alone on Christmas while pretending no one was celebrating was somehow acceptable?" "Don't be so dramatic," my mother sighed. "We just wanted to avoid any awkwardness. You know how Anna wanted everything to be perfect." And just like that, the truth hit me. It wasn't just this one event. All the canceled plans, the gatherings that mysteriously fell through, the family photos I later stumbled upon online. This wasn't an accident. It was a pattern. "How many times?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "How many other times have you lied to me about family events?" Another silence, just as telling as the last. Then, she deflected. "Catherine, you're overreacting. This is exactly why." "Why what?" I interrupted, my patience gone. "Why you exclude me? Why you act as if I don't exist unless you need something? Why Anna gets to be the golden child while I'm treated like an inconvenience?" "That's not fair," she protested. "We love you both the same. It's just, Anna makes an effort to be part of the family. You're always so busy with work." I let out a bitter laugh. "Busy with work? You mean busy helping pay your mortgage? Busy taking care of Dad after his surgery? That kind of busy?" Her voice turned cold. "Listen, if you're going to be like this, maybe we need some space. Call me when you're ready to be reasonable." Then the line went dead. I stared at my phone, my mind spinning as 32 years of memory suddenly took on a new, painful clarity. Every excuse, every dismissal, every forgotten invitation, it had never been random. It had never been about me being too busy or too quiet. It had been intentional. I wasn't the problem. I never had been. That was the moment I stopped making excuses for them. The moment I finally saw the truth. I didn't have a family. I had relatives who shared my DNA but treated me like an afterthought. Something inside me snapped. I opened my laptop, my fingers moving furiously across the keyboard as I drafted an email to my entire family, parents, sister, aunts, uncles, cousins, every single person who had been at that Christmas dinner. "I saw the photos from Christmas," I began. "The dinner I was told had been canceled because of an ice storm that never existed. I want you all to know exactly what you've done. You didn't just exclude me from a family gathering, you went out of your way to deceive me, to ensure I spent the holiday alone while you all celebrated together." I attached screenshots, my mother's messages insisting that no one was celebrating, alongside the cheerful photos from Nina's social media posts. Then, before I could second-guess myself, I hit send. The responses came almost instantly. Aunt Marie claimed they had simply forgotten to update me when the plans changed. Uncle Robert dismissed my feelings, saying I was overreacting. My cousin Nina, whose posts had exposed their lie, deleted the photos and messaged me, accusing me of stirring up unnecessary drama. Then came Anna's response, an infuriatingly condescending email. She lectured me about how I never make an effort at family events and insisted that she had just wanted one perfect holiday. She even had the nerve to suggest that excluding me was for my own good since I, obviously, don't enjoy family gatherings. But it was my parents' reaction that truly solidified everything for me. There was no apology. Instead, they went on the attack. My mother began calling family friends, spinning a story that I was going through some sort of breakdown. My father sent a stern email about family privacy and how airing our issues was unacceptable. Then, Anna sent a text. "You've really done it now. Mom's crying, everyone's upset, and it's all because you couldn't just let it go. This is exactly why we didn't want you at Christmas." I felt like I had stepped into an alternate reality. They had lied to me. Deliberately. And yet, I was somehow the villain for exposing their deception. The more I refused to back down, the more they twisted the narrative. When I didn't apologize, they escalated. My mother started showing up at my workplace, making a scene in the lobby. Anna posted cryptic messages on social media about toxic people and choosing peace over family. My father threatened to cut me out of his will if I didn't fall in line. But instead of breaking me, their actions only proved what I had finally realized. This wasn't a loving family protecting itself from a difficult member. This was a toxic system desperate to maintain control over someone who had finally stopped playing by their rules. I realized that merely exposing their deception wasn't enough. I needed to completely free myself from their control. They had no idea that I was already setting a plan in motion, one that would make them understand the consequences of betraying the only person who had always stood by them. A week after my confrontational email, I received an unexpected message from Rachel, an old family friend who had once managed my parents' finances but had retired years ago. Her message was brief and urgent. "Catherine, I've been following what's happening with your family online. There's something you need to know. Can we meet?" Without hesitation, I agreed, and we arranged to meet at a quiet cafe downtown. When I arrived, I immediately noticed Rachel's nervous demeanor. She clutched a manila envelope tightly in her hands. As I sat down, she slid the envelope toward me and spoke in a hushed voice. "I've carried this guilt for years," she admitted. "Your father made me swear to secrecy, but after seeing how they're treating you now, I can't keep quiet anymore." Curious and slightly apprehensive, I opened the envelope. Inside, I found bank statements and legal documents dating back 15 years. As I skimmed through the records, my hands began to tremble. According to the documents, my grandfather had left me a substantial inheritance specifically designated for my education and future, nearly $300,000. Yet, I had never known this money even existed. Rachel continued, her voice low but firm. "Your father was the trustee. He was supposed to release the funds to you when you turned 25. Instead, he transferred everything into Anna's accounts, using the money to support her lifestyle and failed business ventures." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. All those years I had worked extra hours to pay for my accounting degree, struggling under student loans, and even helping my parents with their mortgage, all while they had been sitting on my inheritance, funneling it into Anna's expenses. Rachel wasn't finished. "There's more," she said gravely. "Your grandfather also left properties intended to be divided equally between you and Anna. Your parents sold them all. And the worst part? They used your power of attorney to authorize the sales when you were 18. Remember when they had you sign a document telling you it was just for emergency medical decisions?" A sickening realization settled in. The document I had signed so trustingly had given them full control over my financial assets. They had systematically stripped me of my inheritance while watching me struggle. Worse yet, they had accepted my help with their expenses, all while making me feel guilty for not contributing more to the family. Flipping through the statements, I saw transaction after transaction labeled as business investments, money taken from my inheritance to fund Anna's yoga studios, her retreats in Bali, and every other venture they had praised while belittling my stable accounting career. I swallowed hard and met Rachel's eyes. "Why are you telling me this now?" Her expression was one of remorse. "Because I saw your mother's posts on social media, calling you unstable and ungrateful. They're trying to ruin your credibility before you uncover the truth. Catherine, this isn't just unethical, it's criminal." Suddenly, everything fell into place. The escalating attempts to paint me as unreasonable, the veiled threats about cutting me out of the will, when in reality, they had already stolen everything that was meant for me. The need to maintain the illusion that Anna was the golden child, while I was the difficult one. I carefully placed the documents back into the envelope, my mind racing. "Thank you, Rachel," I said with quiet determination. "I know exactly what I need to do." This was no longer just about a ruined Christmas. This was about years of deliberate deceit and theft. And I, an accountant with extensive experience in financial fraud investigation, was in a perfect position to hold them accountable. Armed with Rachel's documents, I dedicated the following week to meticulously tracking the money trail. Every unauthorized transfer, every forged signature, every misused power of attorney, I documented it all. Knowing I needed expert legal counsel, I hired Sarah Chin, a lawyer specializing in estate fraud, to review the evidence. After thoroughly examining the case, Sarah looked at me seriously. "This is a clear case of financial exploitation. If you choose to pursue legal action, we can file criminal charges." I weighed my options carefully. Pursuing a criminal case would irreparably damage my family's reputation, but they had already destroyed our relationship. Still, I wanted to give them one final opportunity to do the right thing. I emailed my parents and Anna, requesting a family meeting to resolve our issues. They eagerly agreed, no doubt assuming they could manipulate me into submission once again. We set the meeting for Saturday at my apartment. The morning of the meeting, I prepared 3 identical folders and placed them neatly on my dining table. Each contained a comprehensive record of their fraudulent activities, along with a letter from my lawyer outlining their choices: either return all remaining funds and sign a legal confession, or face criminal prosecution. When they arrived, their expressions were smug, as if they expected me to beg for reconciliation. My mother wasted no time in speaking, her voice dripping with condescension. "Catherine, we're so glad you've finally come to your senses." I didn't let her finish. Instead, I slid the folders across the table. Before anyone could utter another word, I placed the documents in front of them. "I suggest you read these first." As my father scanned the pages, the color drained from his face. Anna's hands trembled, while my mother struggled to maintain her composure. "This is absurd," she finally said. "Are you seriously trying to blackmail your own family?" "Blackmail?" I let out a cold laugh. "No, I'm giving you an option. Return what's rightfully mine, including interest, and admit what you did, or let the police handle it." "Rachel is already prepared to testify." "You had no right," my father started. "You had no right," I cut in, my voice unwavering. "For years, you stole from me while watching me struggle. You abused my power of attorney to sell off my assets and used my inheritance to fund Anna's lifestyle." Tears streamed down Anna's face. "I didn't know," she sobbed. "They told me the money came from their savings." "Don't lie," I replied, keeping my tone steady. "The transfers went straight into your accounts. You knew exactly what was happening." My mother took a different approach. "Think about what this will do to the family. What will people say? You should have thought about that before taking hundreds of thousands of dollars from your own daughter," I answered firmly. "You have 48 hours. Sign the confession and arrange the transfers, or I go to the police." They left in a frenzy, my father practically dragging my hysterical mother and sister out the door. Within hours, the family group chat exploded with messages from relatives, most, predictably, taking their side. But I remained unfazed. The truth and the evidence were on my side. "The ball's in their court now," I told Sarah over the phone that evening. "But something tells me they won't make the right choice." I was prepared for whatever came next. In a way, they had already given me the greatest gift of all: freedom from their control. As I expected, the 48-hour deadline passed without action. Rather than confess, my family chose pride over accountability. Instead of doing the right thing, they tried to cover their tracks, closing accounts, shredding documents, and even attempting to pressure Rachel into withdrawing her statement. What they didn't realize was that I had already submitted everything to the authorities. The morning after the deadline, I filed formal charges. By that afternoon, law enforcement arrived at their doors with search warrants. From my office, I watched the consequences unfold. My father was escorted out of his workplace in handcuffs. Anna's yoga studio, purchased with stolen funds, was seized. My mother's carefully curated image crumbled when she was arrested in the middle of a charity committee meeting. The family group chat erupted again, but this time, the tone was different. Relatives who had dismissed my claims before were now silent as the evidence became public record. The local newspaper published an article about the downfall of a once prominent family, their years of carefully maintained appearances unraveling in a single day. That evening, my phone buzzed with a message from Rachel. "You did the right thing. Your grandfather would be proud." She was right. This was no longer about revenge, it was about justice. As I watched the false image my family had worked so hard to maintain collapse, I didn't feel satisfaction, just relief. The truth was finally out, and for the first time, I was truly free. 1 year later, I sat in my new home in Denver, watching the snow drift past my window. The court case had wrapped up months ago. My parents had accepted plea deals, agreeing to repay what they had stolen. Anna's yoga business had collapsed, forcing her into an ordinary job as a receptionist. Their perfect family image was shattered beyond repair. Most of the relatives who had once enabled their behavior had cut ties with me, but surprisingly, I didn't miss them. Instead, I had built something better, a genuine support system. Friends who valued honesty over appearances, colleagues who respected my work, and even a few distant cousins who had reached out to apologize. Rachel visited last week. Over coffee, she handed me an old photo album she had found while clearing out her office. Flipping through the pages, I saw pictures of my grandfather and me, memories I had almost forgotten. One photo stood out. He was teaching me to fish, both of us laughing at something lost to time. "He always said you were the strong one," Rachel murmured. "He knew they favored Anna, but he believed you would rise above it." I traced my fingers over the photograph, remembering his gentle smile. He had tried to protect my future with that inheritance. And while it had taken years, his final gift had given me something far greater than money, the strength to stand up for myself and the freedom to live on my own terms. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about getting free.